Hey everybody, this is Mike from skillofstrength.com. What I'm going to go over right now is the tutorial on a windmill. This is for the coaches on strengthcoach.com. We had a nice discussion about the windmill and people saying, oh, when I do it, it bothers my back, or every time I try it, there seems to be some issues. So what I'm going to show you is a quick tutorial on how to do the windmill. Just remember a couple things. A few cues, I guess, for the windmill is, one, it's hip flexion or a hip hinge paired up with thoracic spine rotation. Now, if you can't do those things independently, then yes, you are going to have issues with the windmill. Again, for everybody in the kettlebell community, if you can't swing, you can't do a get up, you shouldn't be doing a windmill. So you have to get those two basic drills down before you try to progress into something a little bit more advanced like the windmill. So, first thing I'm going to start off with is the foot position. Now, what I'm going to do right here is I'm going to do a basic hip hinge, nice and forward. Again, trying to basically push the hips behind you and hinge with a nice tall spine. So I'm going to be here, I'm going to hinge, okay, show you the side position. Again, it's a nice hinge. Okay, now we're going to take that same hinge and we're going to change it a little bit, but again, it's still a hinge. Alright, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my feet, same width, and I'm going to shoot them 45 degrees, okay? This 45-degree angle is the setup, or the setup foot position for the windmill. Now, your feet have to stay relatively close together. Everybody's a little bit different, but they're going to stay fairly close. So, the first thing that has to happen is the hip hinge. Now, all I'm doing right now is a hip hinge, okay? I'm on a diagonal, but it's still a hip hinge. Slight different stance. Now, when we do the windmill, what we want to do is our back leg needs to stay straight and the front leg needs to stay soft. I'd say about 75% of your weight stays in the back leg and 25% stays in the front. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get into my hinge, but I'm going to load the back hip a lot more, okay? And this position here, a really, really nice glute stretch, okay? And a nice hamstring stretch. The front leg knee should be bent, okay? That's just there for almost like balance, okay? A great way to actually work on loading the back leg is if you stack your feet on one another, you can shift back, sit into it, and that'll teach you to get all of your weight into the back hip, alright? So again, we're at that 45. We're going to sit into that hip hinge. The back leg is straight. There's a slight bend in the front leg. Both feet are rooted into the ground. Keep a good arch. Don't let your feet pronate or collapse. That's huge. Now, at this position, again, the lumbar spine is neutral. Okay. Now, all I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure that this stays neutral. A great way to do this is left hand stays on the lumbar, top hand. I'm going to take a breath in and rotate. Essentially, it's like a rib pull. At this position, this is the start position for the windmill. Now the top hand is going to go straight up in the air. This is just like the T position in the get-up. So, at this position here, the bottom leg's going to come down, and I like to rest it on the inside of the bottom leg. Now, this position, I'm loading into my right leg. That's where the majority of my weight is. I've got a nice, flat, neutral lumbar spine, but I'm rotated in my thoracic spine. So, at this position, we want to just take a couple big deep breaths, breathe into your belly and exhale, and try to sit back, okay? All we're trying to do is just lengthen the stretch by sitting back into it a little bit more. Now notice I'm not trying to reach to the floor, okay? Now, if we want to try to increase the stretch, that's okay, but in order to basically reach to the floor, we need to be able to shift our weight back more, but also get a little bit better T-spine rotation. What I like to do is, again, you can do a rib pull right in this position. Make sure you breathe diaphragmatically. And again, we're just trying to gain some nice rotation the same way you would breathe in a sideline rib pull. Okay, so I'm going to breathe. I'm trying to shoot my hips back and go from there. Okay? Now at this position, again, I've got a nice neutral spine. Okay? And then you come on up. Alright? Now, with the kettlebell, it's the same idea. Okay? All you want to do is you want to press the kettlebell up overhead first, and then you can start. Okay? So here's a windmill with the kettlebell. I'm going to show you two variations. Okay? Here's the top variation. Okay, now, again, I'm at 45. Okay? I'm going to shift my weight back, but again, make sure that this shoulder's biting and you're really depressing the scap and retracting the scap at the same time. Pack the shoulder. Okay? Again, I'm going to hinge. Majority of the weight is into my right leg and a soft knee in the front. Okay? And I'm going to slowly slide down. But again, the movement's not occurring at the lumbar spine. It's actually occurring at hip flexion and thoracic rotation. Okay, I'm going to stay nice and tight. And then come on up. Keep the shoulder packed. Okay, same thing. I'm going to shift my hips in. Pack the shoulder. And again, this is the same upper body position of the get-up. Now, another variation is a windmill from the bottom position. This is actually a great way to teach it as well. So, what we're going to do here, same exact setup. Feet are pretty close together. I'm in a 45. Okay, I'm going to get nice and close to the kettlebell, and I'm going to aim that kettlebell basically directly under where my hand is. Okay, I'm going to get in my 45 position. I'm going to hinge. Okay, again, no flexion, no torque or rotation in the lumbar spine. I'm going to get a nice stretch in the hip. Okay, I'm going to slide down. I'm going to peel open by rotating my T-spine. Top hand's here. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick up the bottom kettlebell, pick up the kettlebell with my bottom hand rather. Okay, so I'm going to sit into it. Big stretch. Okay. I'm just going to basically allow myself to relax into the stretch. Breathe in my belly. And that's going to allow me to kind of relax into the stretch. At this position, I'm going to crush the grip on the bottom, tighten up, and then stand. Now, all you're going to do is retrace the path on the way back down. Sit into it. And stand. Okay? Just to kind of see this from the back, I want you to see something. Back view here. Again, I'm even going to tuck my shirt in. I don't do this too often. I just don't tuck my shirt in a lot. So, but for the sake of teaching, I'll do that. Now, again, here it is from the back. Right-sided windmill. Okay? Feet are square. I'm going to 45. All right? I'm going to sit into it. Majority of the weight is in my right leg. I got a soft knee on the front. Okay? Notice, neutral spine. Okay? Pack that top shoulder. Okay? I'm going to do a couple diaphragmatic breaths. And sit into it. Big glute stretch. Big glute stretch. Okay? And then stand up. So hopefully this clears up. I gotta untuck this. It's ridiculous. Hopefully this clears up any questions you may have with the windmill. So again, quick way to teach it. Again, start with a basic hinge. Make sure that you can hinge with a little bit closer stance. Okay. Once you can hinge, get into a 45. Hinge at the 45. Again, when you go into that hinge, make sure that the back leg is straight and then the front knee is slightly bent. 75%, 25%. Okay? You're going to feel a huge glute stretch, okay, and a nice stretch in the hamstring as well. At this position, again, we just rotate the T-spine up top, okay? This is the same upper body portion of the get-up, all right? Okay, 45. Hinge, okay? This position, try to lean into the stretch and really open up that hip and glute. Okay, once you're there, a couple nice breaths and just open and peel the thoracic spine open. But again, nothing should happen with the lumbar spine. From here, you're just going to basically work going as low as you can. Again, don't collapse and fold. Yes, you're going to have back pain if you do that. No one says you have to go all the way to the ground, okay? You don't. Go as low as you can while maintaining that nice lumbar curve. Hopefully this clears up any questions that you have.